So
scenario construction.
Exactly. So for this one, because it's English, let's move on to the main table. Then I'll explain it. The numbers will make it easier for people.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the worst case scenario, and this is the best case scenario.
What does that mean?
Exactly. So the worst case scenario for my model simply means the most realistic scenario. This scenario does not...
That's what best.
The worst.
Worst case scenario is the most realistic
scenario.
So worst case scenario outcome is more likely than best case scenario. Is that what you're saying?
The worst case scenario is actually the data we gathered from the people without knowing the undecided and undisclosed. So what it means is that we are getting 94%.
That's the worst case scenario.
That's the worst case scenario, where the 94% have told us exactly who they are voting.
But there is a group who have
There's
not
a
told
group
you.
who have not told us. And this is where I think online some people were saying that it doesn't tally, there's 192 here, there's 204,
Yeah.
but they don't see the asterisks, they don't see the footnotes. And the footnote, I'm an accountant who like using footnotes a lot, so put asterisks there, number 1, number 2, and then we'll tell you to go and read the footnote. So the footnote here tells us the difference of the 6%.
I'll read that
Yes.
that controversial response, rebuttal, so that you can respond to viewers. I'll come to that. But hold on. So the best case scenario.
Yes. So I'm here to move to the best case
The
scenario.
worst case scenario
is the
the one
realistic.
that is without undecided voters and undisclosed voters.
Yes. So in that case,
Hold on. So if you're polling 100 people and 10 of them don't talk,
yes,
the worst case scenario is over the 90, is the results from the 90.
yes.
And the best case scenario is the results from when the 10 speak.
No. So what is actually happening is that for the worst case scenario, we're having all the 100. In
Worst case, you have all the 100.
all the 100.
Best
However,
case, you don't have all the
no,
100.
I'm yet to even come to the best case. I'm still with the worst case. Once you understand, then I can proceed.
Okay, what's the worst
With
case?
the worst case scenario, with that 94%, what is actually happening is that 94% have told us exactly who they are voting for. Then there's 6%, which it means 6 of them, who are telling us, unfortunately, I can't tell you who I will vote for.
Or I haven't decided.
So that won't be undisclosed. The person is not comfortable telling us. And then there's those who are also confused about who they, and those are the undecided.
So that's best case scenario.
No, still with the worst
That's
case,
worst case.
worst
Okay.
case scenario.
What's the
but
best?
now when we move to the best case scenario, there are actually 3 variables that come to play. Variable number 1 is the undecided. Variable number 2 is the undisclosed. Variable number 3 is the next best alternative. So what do we do with the undecided and undisclosed? So we had about 12,000 for people that were undecided and undisclosed. What do? We put that data together. And then we do not want to assume, so for example, I heard from one of the other posters, some other posters saying that a number of undecided or undisclosed people would vote for this person. We didn't want to assume. So we picked that data again. Instead of the very first person that called that constituency, we give it to another person, a different person, to call them and see if some of them this time will move from undisclosed to disclosed and move from undecided to decided. Then we'll give it to a third, to a fourth person. By the time we are done with the fourth person, out of the 12,000, we're having about 3,000 now revealing who they are going to vote for. Now, because we are dealing with sampling, that 3,000 can be, and because we get a pattern within that 3,000, we can now extrapolate from that 3,000 all the way to that 12,000 that is undecided and non-disclosed, and say that 60% of these people are for this candidate A, 30% are for this. Then we can now apportion it. So that's how come, if you look at it, on this table, I did not include the undecided and undisclosed. But when you look at the report, when we are, even on the next page with the regions, you see the undecided and undisclosed, which
So
is
how many
part
of them, what percentage of them did you get to talk?
So actually what happened with it is that with the undecided and undisclosed, each one of them has a different variant. So we got 30% for undecided, and then we got 40% for undisclosed. Now the undisclosed people, majority of them is about the confidence they have with who they are talking to. Once they get to that point, they realize, oh, it's not another candidate's camp calling to know. Once they get to know, there is no fear revealing who. They are more likely to quickly let you know. The undecided, they are still in the process of deciding about who they want to vote for. So those people, we had 30 and then we had 40.
When you are speaking to delegates in Zolo, do you speak Ewe? Do your people speak Ewe to them?
So that's very, so my personal assistant, Maxwell here, he speaks Ewe.
Okay.
And he and Emilia and other people who speak Ewe called those from voter. And then we had to get somebody from the north. And all these audios, I can review some of them.
When you are speaking to delegates from Ladade Kutupon or do you speak in Ghana?
So we had to get one or two people, but most of the times when you speak English, it goes with them. Where we think we get to a barrier, then we bring in a special person that can speak that language.
When you are speaking to delegates in Ukugwa and Dukrom, do you speak mente?
So those people, three English majority worked around. Where we had a challenge was with some parts of the north and some parts of Volta, and we had to get people to assist with that. But majority of the country, English tree worked with them.
When you are speaking to delegates in Tamale North, you speak in Dagbani?
So I think most of them, as far as Dagbani, we didn't have a problem with that. The English was okay with it.
So in the worst case scenario, you say what? You got 44% for Kennedy Agyepong.
Yes.
39% for Mahamudu Bawumia. 6% for Brian Achampong. And 3%. So when you statisticians say that I've spoken to 19,000 people out of a potential of 200,000 that are going to vote, and you are making an extrapolation and a prediction, for me, a layman, 19,000 is a whole world away from 200,000. Yeah. How do you make the determination? Is it human behavior? Is it sociology that because we all speak a certain language, we are likely to vote in the same way? Is it because we all eat the same food, we are likely to vote? I don't understand it.
So what normally we say in research is, first and foremost, you state your biases, you state your limitations. And if you are stating your biases, the number one bias about some of this one is the non-response. The number one bias is that it's temporal, it's within a period. So this one is not predictive, it's a snapshot for September. So what is actually happening is that though we were able to talk to 19,000 people, there is homogeneity that we assume within the delegates. These are number one, MPP people. Number two, these are executives from the polling station all the way to the executives for the constituency. These are people that if you do random sampling and you get 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 randomly, you begin to have an idea where the majority of them, their mindset goes. So the first thing about research is that your sampling technique is very important. And how we do this is that make sure that number one, it is representative, it is significant, and also ensure that you are getting it right with a random sampling so that there are no biases that will be. So for example, what we do is that we put it into the system, it pulls the random one out, then we get the album to get the face of who they are talking to. The reason why we use the album to give it to them, to get the face, is that if you're dealing with an adult, then you realize that for the adult, I would have to use this tone. You're dealing with a younger person so that you know who and how to approach the person.
Okay, man and woman you will know.
Yes,
but their ages you might not know from their names.
No, the ages are there. In the album, the ages are there.
Oh, the ages are there. Yes, so why do you need a photograph to determine whether it's old or young?
Oh, no. Sometimes some of the ages are wrong. So you can see some
You mean football age?
I don't know football age or data mistake or whatever, but you can see someone who looks like 50 and the age is 22. And I think maybe it was data input error or something. And these ones, anybody who has the album can attest to that there are 1 or 2 errors in terms of data input, and that happens.